This is Trophy, the Scoundrel's Quarter, Part 31. We have arrived at a set in Foulcoult's Bounty called The Master Speaks. In a crumbling amphitheater in the center of the city, Marek Foulcoult holds court over a crowd of his believers. He scratches at his fungus-covered skin. His body is a strange combination of malnourished and bloated, different parts bulging or sagging. His robes are finely made, but unable to fit his twisting form. His hair and beard are matted and long, blowing in the oppressively warm wind. Foulcoult preaches a complete dismissal of all laws, not as a benevolent anarchist, but to allow him and his followers to do whatever they want and surrender themselves to their basest and most violent urges. He preaches that anyone who speaks against them is a vile, inhuman enemy who must be crushed. He preaches that they are jealous, or, even worse, poor, a failing of their souls and a perversity of their minds that must be cleansed with fire. Your goal in this set is to assassinate Marek Foulcoult. The crowd is ecstatic, some listening, some screaming in support, some fighting with each other. All smile joyously from vacuous faces as they stab and beat and trample on each other. There are people sitting in the round, like in sort of the amphitheater seats, but there's also people down in the center, just crowding around. In particular, they are crowding around this pit. Now, last time I described out of character what's in that pit, and Berwyn, bless him, is getting a front row seat to what's in the pit. But it doesn't sound great. Every now and then you see some orange bubbling goo dribble up out of the lip of the pit. There are people crowding around it, making offerings to it. Indeed, Berwyn's various body parts were thrown into the pit, an offering. The last you see of Berwyn, perhaps, is one particularly poignant chunk of Berwyn, which consists of his head, a shoulder, and an arm, and a look of shock on his face as the dawning realization of his fate settled on him, being tossed into the pit. Torum and Cassian, you have been moved into position. The crowd that you were first sort of moving along with, and then mercilessly killing in revenge for Berwyn, but then being pushed along nevertheless into the amphitheater by, they've brought you there. You are on the other side of the pit from Marek. Marek is on a podium opposite the side of the pit that you're on, chanting, preaching, just spilling out his ideology and really just ranting and raving. Alina, you are also in the amphitheater. You're not as close as the others. You followed a person who has this ring of this sea witch or this undersea queen that you believe it is your mission to acquire. I can't remember. I think the sea queen promised you something, but in any case,
She was pretending to be one of the sisters.
that's right. Yeah. You're trying to get this ring. This person has like run into the amphitheater and is pushing their way to the front of the line to make an offering of the ring. And we'll check in with Jack. We'll figure out what you're going to be doing here in a moment. But Cassian, Torum, and Alina, I just want to get a read on what you're doing right now. What is your plan? You may not get any closer to um, to Merrick, or you might be able to get closer to him. I don't know, but Cassian, what do you think?
I have been infected by the
You have been,
fungus,
yes.
and I'm hoping that I can leverage that to a bit of safe passage.
To like get closer, maybe.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting. Torum, what are you gonna do?
I think it's kind of a direct approach. just using my strength to move through the crowd. And what I'd ultimately like to do is get close enough to use the burning voice on
On Marek.
Cole. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Lena, what are you doing?
I would like to use my hunter ritual to chase down this person who has the ring.
Oh, very good.
Uh,
The hunter ritual says when you have the scent of your prey, you can feel their heartbeat when you face them. Oh, that's good. I like that as a way of like finding them in the crowd and getting you.
yeah, really honing in and catching up.
Down in the pit, we have a horrifying gestalt, a viscous, oozing amalgamation of orange fungal fluid and blood and bodies. Many of the bodies are body parts, all twisting and mashing together as the fungus sort of weaves them in and out together. But there are also people down in there, maybe even of their own volition. They are wrapped up in this gestalt as well. They're letting out cries of both ecstasy and agony. There are people in the pit that are fucking in the pit. They are allowing the gestalt to enter them. They are allowing themselves to be twisted and stretched. They are allowing their organs to be removed so that their outer shell can just be a fleshy glove for whatever is down in there. Always, the ooze is trying to reach up out of the pit, but there is a low iron fence that seems to, it's unclear why it keeps it in place, but it touches the iron fence and then it kind of retracts a little bit, right? And there's just a little gap in that fence so that people can throw things into it. But that's the reason why there's a crowd, though, Alina, because you have to go one by one to throw things into the pit, right? Berwyn, you were torn apart, but your ruin is not a 6. And so there is theoretically a way, perhaps, that you return the magic of this pit inherent in it and your own magic, your own ability to channel spirits, perhaps, could maybe see something of you return. What do you think?
I think that as these maniacal, hysterical fanatics are writhing and thrashing and fucking in this pit, that something shudders beneath the surface, and we see the fungus and the corpses start to coalesce. And there's one in particular who is maybe lapping up some of this fluvia, this mixture. But then we see just one giant arm smash into their face and press and smash their skull into the side of the well before pulling them beneath the surface. The iron gate that's above it starts to shudder as the surface of this pool begins to rise and rise and rise until finally it breaks. And then whoever was closest to this well would see one of those hands come up onto the lip, another, and you notice that the hands themselves seem to be crafted from this mixture of fungus, but also other limbs. It's some crude mixture between sinew and flesh and bone. You don't know where one ends and the other begins until finally this entire form of fleshy abomination arises, draped in a perfectly pristine red cloak. Its face is skeletal, but clinging to it are these fungal tumors that are throbbing with pussing ooze. These eyes that don't blink because their lids are completely gone, lips that are completely gone, and nothing but teeth.
Burning smash.
Very good. Well, Alina, you might hear the commotion as you're trying to move through the crowd, but you can't actually see that yet. I do want to go ahead and do the risk roll here. Um, I suppose the question is, I mean, I think what could go wrong here is you get called out as a heretic and people try to sacrifice you to the pit, to the thing coming out of the pit. Who knows? But if anybody else has any thoughts on what could go wrong for Alina here, I'd love to hear it.
Nothing. My plan is foolproof.
I think what could go wrong is that the ritual, so maybe like the sea witch's magic is interfering with it, and you don't just hear one heartbeat, you go mad from hearing everyone's heartbeat in the amphitheater.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking something similar, that the kind of nature of this ritual means there's like a unification of Foucault with all his worshippers and so on. And
So it just
you
like
kind of-
shatters Alina's mind.
right, by trying to track him, you're like tracking all of the like everyone who kind of is part of him in
I
this
love
situation.
it. I love it. This is fantastic. I mean, what do you think about your skills? Willpower possibly helping you here?
I think, yeah, willpower is probably the biggest one. I mean, I also have skills in spirits, so if this is magic that is used to spirits, but yeah, willpower.
Yeah. I mean, I think just
I'm
like,
also a medium. That's my occupation.
yeah. You've got your first light die. I'm gonna make the devil's bargain. I'll give you a couple of options. One, up at the Scoundrel's Quarter and play. Two, your son shows up.
I had forgotten about that. Oh my god.
And then, Ben, if you want to make another offer, you can.
You get a ring,
Interesting.
not the one you're hoping for.
I mean, I love the drama of my son showing up. That's awesome.
You have two light dice, and I think you have to do a dark die too because you're in an arena full of lunatics. So, yeah.
Checks out.
Yeah. Two light, one dark. Let's see what you got.
Light 6.
Light 6. Fantastic. Be thinking about what that looks like. Cassian and Torum, I like the plan of getting close to Merrick so that you can like strike a decisive blow. I think the first step is getting close to Merrick. And so you both can help each other do this. I just need to know who's going to be the principal die roller, who's going to be trying to like help you navigate the crowd to get up there.
What was your plan, Cassian?
The fact that I am infected with the fungus, I was hoping it might let me sneak
Well, and honestly,
Mm.
Berwyn might be able to help too, because if the crowd starts to press in on you, this monstrous Berwyn can start smashing them, you know? So,
Yeah, and that's a heck of a distraction as well.
yeah. So Cassian, then you're the principal roller. Is that what we have decided?
Yeah, and I
Sure.
can kind of use strength and so
Yeah,
on
yeah,
and I have a skill in protection, which implies I can kind of keep people away from.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, so, well, I mean, yeah, I think I'll give you a light die because of the infection. So you have your first light die. What could go wrong? I mean, I think you just end up in the pit. I think that's probably the extent of it. Or you might have to fight off a crowd of these followers. It could be, I think it's something along those lines. Devil's bargains. I'll put the Scoundrel's Quarter in play, and then I'll take recommendations from the rest of the table as well.
Did we mention last time that there was someone from Kingsguard who had recognized you?
Mm.
There is. You had got kind of separated from him a little bit in the crush to get in here. Bidar, I believe his name was.
Bidar, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
he may show up.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
my devil's bargain is that he does show up and that he demands a duel. and then
Oh,
you have to
good.
fight.
Oh
Yeah, because there was a lot of tension. There was a lot of tension with Bidar. And, yeah.
You're heading toward Foucault, and he's heading toward you. Yeah. I don't think I have anything that can beat that. It's a devil's bargain, and I probably shouldn't throw one out since I'm doing the assist roll anyway.
Amanda, do you want to throw one out?
You succumb to the chaos and the madness in the room and become mad yourself.
That's pretty tough. That's a tough devil's bargain.
Yeah.
I mean, you are infected
Maybe
by the
not.
fungus, but
Maybe
yeah.
maybe not to the same level as everybody else. How's
Yeah.
that? We'll mitigate it a bit.
You only eat a little bit of people, not too many.
Couple
You
of
have-
cheeks here and there.
You have 3 options. What do you think?
I think I have to go with Bidar.
Bidar. Yeah, I
confrontation.
think Bidar's
Yeah.
probably the right one. Fantastic. You have 2 light dice and a dark die, and then you can take help from either of the other 2 if it looks like you need it.
All right. That's what is my it's not too bad. Okay. Wow. 2.
2. Well, you will be able to add a dark die and re-roll, but you can also take help because you have a dark die in
Yes.
your roll. Torum and Berwin, would either of you like to help?
I would like to help. Yes.
Describe how you're doing so, please.
I think I'm just using my strength to clear a path and protect Cassian from anyone interfering with him.
Yeah, that sounds great. Make a help roll. Let's see if that helps.
4.
Okay, that's a good start. You want to aim for a 6, Berwin?
Sure. Yeah, I'm thrashing about. I'm sure that's causing some kind of distraction.
Love it.
Nope. 4.
All right, so neither of those matched the 1, which was the dark die in your roll. So you are nobody's ruin has to go up. I will tell you what the complication is, though. The complication is that you are going to have to fight Bidar, like with combat. If you don't want to deal with that, you can add a dark die and try for a 6.
Oh, let's do that. A 6, but it's dark.
6 dark. Your ruin goes up. What does that make your ruin now?
4.
4. That's not too bad. Let's have the scene, all 3 of you together. Just like getting through the crowd of people, trying not to be too distracted by the thing rising up out of the pit. You might have even heard Berwin's name being cried out. Just all that stuff, all that kind of chaos is going on. And also, Alina, tell us what you're up to too in the middle of this as you're kind of pressing forward.
I think the chaos and the sounds, the yelling, the screaming, the heartbeats, the sweat, all of this is reminding me of when the hunt was happening and all of that was going on there. And I think I'm not even doing it on purpose. I am focusing in on the person. I'm trying to watch them through the crowd so I can follow them. I know who they are. I know what they have. And slowly, all of the noises start to fade out. And all I could hear is my own panting and that person's heartbeat. And it's just this loud lub-dub as I push my way through the crowds. It's like everything desaturates in color except for them. And as luck would have it, for some reason, out steps this child right in front of my quarry, stopping them, delaying them enough so that I can catch up.
I think you catch up and you can grab the ring from them. I'm not as interested in that part of it as much as I am the fact that the boy, who looks like he's about 10, 12 years old, maybe, he has a big birthmark on the side of his face. He says, I think he looks ahead, probably sees Berwin rising up out of the pit, sees all the chaos kind of breaking out, and the crowd getting more frenzied. And he says, I can get you out of here. I know a secret way out of the city. We cannot stay here.
I can't go until my purpose here is fulfilled.
He says, that ring was designed to put you in my path. This was
This
all
ring is the ring of a sister, of a saint.
that ring is the property of the lady beneath the waves, the woman who mothered me in your place. Yes, she told me about you. She told me who you are. And I give you one chance now, one last chance to make right what you made wrong, the wrong you did to me, and come with me and escape.
I think Alina looks down at the ring, still pretty sure that this is the ring of a saint. I have obligations outside of you, child.
The boy, he gets red-faced. He scowls.
But if you wait just a few moments, perhaps my companions.
Heretic! Heretic! She's a heretic! She's a heretical follower of the false faith of the sisters! And the crowd is like, maybe for the first time noticing your clothing, maybe you have your holy symbol accidentally fallen out of your shirt, but in any case, they are now crowding in on you, and the boy, just like with a look of disgust on his face, turns and recedes back into the crowd. Meanwhile, Torum, Cassian, Berwyn, what's going on?
I think there's a shot from above, and we see Cassian moving against the stream of people. We see Bidar cutting in at an angle towards him as Torum is just slightly to the right. And then it's just entirely disrupted, I imagine, by this new presence. And Cassian is going to just entirely falter seeing the red cloak and the eyelidless face. And he'll just, by the old one. And he's going to try and get eyes on Torum.
I'm sorry, I was slightly distracted there, Ben. What was the last little bit that happened?
He sees Berwyn.
Oh,
question
yeah,
mark.
yeah, Berwyn. I think during the middle of all this, Marek Foulcoult, who's capable of adapting, if nothing else, he sees Berwyn rising up from the pit, sees the chaos kind of breaking out. I don't think he's not really conscious yet of the two of you moving close to him, but he kind of switches his preaching from, we are owed the wealth of the world. We should take whatever we should take, and I am the leader. I am the God who will lead you to this. To look at my power. Look what I am able to bring forth from the sacrificial pit. Rise, my creation, rise. And he's sort of like adapting to the moment, right? Berwyn, what are you doing?
I'm thrashing about. Everything in my way is bothering me. So, as I imagine he steps out, you would notice, Cassian, that he is probably a good 2 to 3 feet taller than Torum. He is just swollen muscles and limbs fused together, but with a little cute little cape, because fashion. But yeah, he is just sort of thrashing about. He's pulling people apart. He's pulling people into himself and ripping off their limbs and sticking them to him. He's just sort of overcome by the mania that has taken over this entire space. But I think by the time he gets, I think he doesn't even recognize Cassian at this moment. He's just sort of barreling through like a fleshy freight train.
I love it. Torum, what does your part in this look like?
Yeah, I think Torum has not recognized that this is Berwyn. He's just aware that it's a convenient distraction, and I think his mind is so focused on kind of seeing this pattern of space through the crowd of people that he can push our way through so that we can get close to Foulcoult. And he's just kind of at once using his physicality, but also trying to be unobtrusive, not something that people are going to turn on.
I think that I think that in the middle of all of this, as the two of you are getting closer in this like chaotic scrum, Bidar leaps out of nowhere and stabs the shit out of Marek Foulcoult. When he stabs Marek, instead of blood, he is sprayed with orange fungal liquid just spattering all over him. And he wrenches the sword out. Marek, screaming and seemingly coming apart. You can see his flesh ripping and tearing as his entire insides appear to be made of this like orange fungal mass. He's flailing about and he's trying to make for a stairway right behind him into a subterranean passage. Bidar is standing between you and him, and he whirls on you, Cassian, and he says, "How dare you try to steal the king's glory, traitor?"
I think there's a moment of hesitation and a twitch in Cassian's face, but Cassian isn't here for banter. He's going to charge.
To get just charge through Bidar, or what? To do what?
If he has to cut through Bidar, he will.
Bidar is like drawing. He's got his weapon drawn.
Yep.
He's covered in fucking orange goo, and he's ready to go. Torum, Marek Foulcoult's making his escape. What do you do?
I think I've got to push Bidar aside and just go for Foulcoult.
So Cassian's dealing with Bidar. Marek Foulcoult's making a run for it down this corridor. Torum's going after Marek. Alina, you're about to be thrown into the pit unless you can escape this situation. What do you do? And Berwyn, you'll be aware of Alina's situation at this point.
I think he's following after Marek Foulcoult because he's the cause of this transformation. So I think he's got beef.
Alina, you're on your own. What do you do here?
I think I'm thinking back to when I met with the tarot card reader and she gave me the tarot card of Saint Evelyn. And I think I'm really channeling the idea that I am meant for more. I am meant to be special. I am meant to really bring the sisters to the world and become powerful. I'm not dying in this pit.
I love it. Is there a special thing attached to that? Do you get a free die or something?
There is not,
Oh,
but I
okay.
really wanted to bring in the card because it's just been.
I like
so
it. I'll give you an
grand.
extra light die in addition to your willpower and your saint's skill. Just kind of
Yeah.
drawing on everything you got here to survive this moment, to avoid having a sort of
Yeah.
horror show in the pit. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious what could go wrong, but if anybody has any other thoughts about how this could go really badly for Alina, I'm open to hearing them.
Picturing her kind of getting stomped by Berwyn.
Oh, there's that too. You're just crushed underfoot by you're just
can't do
trampled
that.
by.
Honestly, that would be the funniest way for Alina to go, like in the middle of a big, powerful speech and just stomp.
It's all bad. The crowd is wrapping around you. They've got you. You've got 2 light dice. I'll put the Scoundrel's Quarter in play, and Rob, if you want to make a devil's bargain as well, you can.
I think no matter what, the attention of some of those, the speech is going to attract the attention of those in the pit that are kind of writhing around, and they're going to want you to either them to join you or you to join them.
Or like you have to minister to them or something. That would be kind of
Ooh.
weird. Okay, so I can work with that if you choose that.
I
Even
think
if
I'm
you
going to put the
succeed in not being
Scoundrel's
thrown in.
Quarter. Yeah, I think I'm going to
Um,
put the Scoundrel's Quarter in danger.
Let's roll that now. Roll a risk roll.
Too late, one dark. I assume I'm needing a dark.
Well, for the Scoundrel's Quarter, you just roll a single.
Oh, run the
It's a ruin roll, right?
Or ruin
ruin
roll.
roll,
Sorry, ruin
yeah.
roll. Yeah.
That is a 6. Sorry,
Okay,
Scoundrel's
so
Quarter.
Scoundrel's Quarter is going up to 4. It looks like. So that's great. And you do have 3 light dice now, though, and a dark
Yay.
die. So let's see what you got.
That is a 5 light.
5 light. I think the complication is the crowd is, while they are manhandling you and while you're trying to escape, they are going to like strip a bunch of your stuff from you.
No, my stuff. Okay,
Unless you
that's
want,
fair.
unless you want to add a dark die and try again.
Do I get to keep GJ, the peacock?
Yes, yeah, you can keep the peacock. Yeah. I'm not sure how the peacock is traveling with you currently.
I'm not
Like,
sure either.
maybe he's back on the ship, possibly,
Yeah.
but yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna try. I'll try once with an extra dark die.
Okay, go for it.
Dark 6.
Dark 6. That bumps your ruin
My
up to
ruin
4.
4.
But full success. Please describe how you escape the crowd.
I think they are surrounding me, and I'm on this one side of the pit. The ooze is gurgling up, and the smell is just rancid. And you can hear the screams. I can no longer hear just the heartbeat anymore. Now it's like everything is super saturated in color and noise. And this horrifying child just ran off after bombing me with that information and not even letting me explain anything. They don't even know I'm a good person. And I think that I do the only thing I can think to do, and that's grab out the chain that I have, this long chain, and somehow, even though Alina is not particularly strapping or physical, I managed to whip the chain over to the other side of the pit and swing over, landing safely outside of the crowd on the side where the podium is after Foulcoult's left. And I think I can hear the yells and the screams of "Heretic, get her!" And I just bolt.
I will note here that you have accomplished the set goal, though indirectly through Bidar. Marek is assassinated. You still have to go collect something so that you can collect your bounty, which is where Torum's headed right now, and presumably Berwyn as well. That said, Bidar is still in your way, Cassian. He's an endurance 7. Just tell me how you're vulnerable.
Well, I trained him. So
good.
he knows
Yeah.
my tricks.
I love it. Roll weak point.
I am wondering if, so way back, I got the omen that showed me that a warning that letting greed overtake my thoughts will lead to a bad end. I'm wondering if I can use that to put Foucault out of my mind for now and focus on surviving.
I'm into that. I think that's really good. I think that the way this extra light die in this context would work is, I'll just let you roll combat 2 to start, so you can maybe theoretically defeat him in one go. What's your weak point?
Oh, I needed that first. Yeah. It's been a minute. Weak point is 2.
All right, and what was your combat roll?
2 4s and 8.
Nice. You defeat Vidar fairly handily. What? Give us the scene.
I think there's a moment where Cassian looks past Bidar, and when he sees Torum running after Foucault, he realizes he can't get too caught up in that, and his expression hardens despite the orange leaking from his eyes. And as Bidar charges him with a stance that Cassian knows because he taught it to him, he sees his own weaknesses in that and feints to the left before ducking under and just bringing the sword up right through Badar's sternum.
Nice. Make a gold 7 roll.
Zero.
Sadly, Vidar had nothing of value.
He was on a mission, not carrying any treasure.
Yeah, not carrying no treasure. Fantastic. Torum, you're down into the pit, or into this tunnel, rather. It connects up with Marek's palace, which is on the immediate other side of the amphitheater. The palace is known as the Citadel Mortis de Jazora, and it was previously the headquarters of the city's branch of government, but has been overtaken by Foulcoult, of course. You have a new set goal here. Slay the final form of Marek Foulcoult and claim his head as a trophy. You run down the corridor. It branches off in several places, but you know exactly where to go because Marek is spraying orange shit all over the place as he stumbles through the corridors. So tracking him is no difficulty whatsoever. It does, however, open up. You reach a set of stairs that you believe is where he's gone to, and when you take up those stairs, you end up in the gardens of this citadel. The overground citadel gardens were once a well-kept gallery of extraordinary topiary, but are now overrun with the orange fungus, which clings to and connects every tree, plant, and statue like grotesque neon spider webs spreading all across. There's a fungus-infected gardener attempting to mold a new topiary from handfuls of the fungus and dead animals and excrement. On the other side of the garden, there is a pair of flung open doors going into the actual citadel proper. And from inside there, you can hear the unmistakable sounds of fucking, of sex, but also screaming and yowling. And that gardener is just like carefully tending all of his vile topiary. And behind you, lumbering about in the corridors, is the creature that you knew as Berwyn. And presumably Cassian and Alina will be on their way shortly. Let's take a 5-minute break. Before we pick back up with the action, Amanda, how is the Scoundrel's Quarter being affected negatively by the events here? How is the forest creeping in?
We see in the ground, in the dirt, the groundwater, it is starting to seep up and cause little muddy patches all around the outside of the quarter. If you step in, your foot will sink in, and you've got to really get your friends to help you pull it out. The weird thing, though, is that it's this strange orange color, and it smells terrible.
Fantastic, thank you. Torum, The others may be along eventually, but you are the first up in the gardens. You do see this gardener tending to his topiary made of blood, bone, fungus, and shit. But you also see some of Marek Foulcoult's converted followers. They were kind of just sitting on benches and standing on plinths as if they were statuary. But then they all begin to move, they begin to rise. They are clearly hemming in around you. And directly ahead are the double doors into the citadel where Marek fled to. You don't really have time to wait on the others in this exact moment. What do you do?
I think single-minded focus. I just go for that door as fast as possible. Try and outrun. I'm not interested in this topiary guy.
If you
Don't
just
really
run
wanna
straight
get
into the
tangled up.
citadel, if you just run straight
Yeah.
into the citadel, you're in.
Yeah.
Cassian and Alina, you can be reunited as you're heading down into the subterranean corridor.
I wouldn't mind, since I'm over on the side where Focal was giving his sermons. Is there anything of value that I could snatch on my way out?
Are you spending a token or?
I don't have any tokens.
You could do a hunt roll if you'd like. Yeah,
I
of
would love to do a
course.
hunt roll.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
If you're willing to invoke the wrath of
Yes.
the hunt roll dice.
It's worth it.
You got one die just for quickly glancing.
I don't think I have anything I can really. Vigilance. I have vigilance as a skill.
I'll take that. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I got a 2.
Well,
Never try and find treasure.
Cassian, you see Alina having somehow made it where the rest of you are all at, even though you haven't seen Alina in probably like the last hour or so. And Alina is going through the detritus that is all over around the podium. You even see Alina crawl under Marek's podium, going after something shiny, perhaps. But you also see a group of converted grabbing Alina and pulling her out from underneath the podium. And Alina is in combat with them. Are you going to join the fray, Cassian?
I think there's a moment where he turns away and he takes a step and then he just goes, oh, and he turns around with his sword and charges back.
Please tell me how you're both vulnerable and roll weak point. They are an endurance 9.
I've just been pulled out from under a podium. I'm not ready for combat.
Indeed.
Cassian is infected by this fungus and I think it's starting to get to him.
Yeah, you might join on their side, right? I mean, theoretically, it could happen. What are the weak points? I got a 1 on Alina. What do you have,
I rolled a
Cassian?
5.
5. 1 and a 5. Combat 2, Cassian, you can kick off with Combat 2, looking for 9 total.
A 4 and a 5.
Nice. Cassian, you are taking a hit, but the group is defeated. It's just a small group of these converted followers of Marek Foulcoult. They, just to give a little more description to them, they are like heavily fungally infected citizens. They are, sort of, even as they're dragging Alina out from under the podium, they're screaming like, their love and devotion of Marek Foulcoult. Some of them are repeating his words over and over again. A couple of them are like scratching out and pulping their own eyes with their own hands, and maybe that's why this fight is so easy. Please kick off the fight. What happens here?
I think Cassian just kind of charges in. His teeth are bared. He's got the orange crust coming out of his eyes, and he just impales 2 of them on his sword, which was already bloody and orange, and just yanks it out, hauls Alina to her feet, and just One of them, I think, pelts him with or comes at him with a rock, and it just clangs off of his armor, and he just turns slowly and just disembowels him.
Alina, how do you contribute to this battle?
I think I scoot backwards as soon as I get a chance to do so, and get up to my feet, and I pull out my sword, and I see that I don't have anything to do. Cassian has single-handedly done this, and I just say a prayer to the sisters for having Cassian be there for me and be my protector, and I think I just see him in a whole new light.
So loads of help. Classic Alina. Very good. Um, Alina, go ahead and roll a gold 9. Let's see if you both end up with anything from this.
Are you kidding? 0 gold.
The die roller is such a the die roller
You're
is
so
such
cheap.
oh my god, the die roller is cruel. Um,
Not
well,
fair.
Cassie, did you mark armor on that hit, or did you take the
I
hit?
did, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Um, well, let's check in with Berwin then. Berwin, you're down in these corridors. You must have enough consciousness to maybe follow along if you wish, but I'm curious what you're doing down there.
You'd think he would. But no, he is on the warpath. I think he's so preoccupied with this newborn brain of his that he is just looking. He wants to tear Merrick apart, and he is just like straightforward. There could be mounds of gold at each side of him. He would not recognize it.
There's nothing like that down there, and so, but
Yeah,
you're following the tracks as well. You're trying to
yeah,
get up to where he's at. Very good.
yeah. I think he sees the splashes of orange viscera, and he's like, he's maybe he got noses on his feet, who knows? But he's picking up on it and is following them intently.
You come up the stairs from the corridors into the gardens as well. This is significantly after Torum's already left the space and gone inside the citadel. Unfortunately, you have a crowd of converted uh, between you and the entrance to the citadel because Torum didn't deal with them. And so you see them kind of stumbling about. They are muttering prayers to Merrick. They are reciting his words. Everything we have is because we deserve it. We deserve everything we have. We take by force that which is rightfully ours. They're scratching their own faces. They're pulling at their own ears and hair. And I think when they see you, I think there's a hesitation, like they don't know what you are. Um, and so you might have the benefit of surprise here a little bit until they realize that you're not on their side. So I'm curious what you do.
If they're trying to keep me from continuing on, then I'm totally going to obliterate them. But if they're just sort of in awe of me, and let me just sort of barrel through and get past them, then I will just continue onward.
I think they start to be upset about the fact that you have more than 2 arms.
Yeah,
Did you,
it's
who did you, like, where do we get more arms? Maybe we should take those arms from you.
oh,
Do you even deserve to have an extra arm? And they're kind of like, they're not they're not attacking you directly yet, but they're definitely standing in your way. And this could go
if they're standing in my
this could
way, then
tilt.
out of frustration, uh, yeah, out of frustration, Berwin will just sort of like he's gonna like trample over as many as he can, but when he realizes that there's this crowd that just won't let him pass, he begins to flex and lets out this massive wailing roar. But as he
Mm.
does, all of these mouths start to rip open in his throat and also release different roars. And I would let you use my new ritual
Ah,
called wail to
produce a
produce a
disorienting sound. Yeah,
yeah.
that's great. I love it. This is a horrifying new Berwin. Um, it's gonna be a risk roll. Um, Who has thoughts on what could go wrong here for Berwyn? Berwyn.
Just thinking the whale is at a frequency that will like structurally damage the tunnels and like cause stuff to start collapsing.
I was thinking that the whale actually like oh god, I think the whale will like tune into the vast fungal organism that is possibly beneath the city. We're talking like apocalyptic style event in Old Calexony. But that's just a thought. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. Any other thoughts?
Mine was going to be very similar to Rob's. Those are great. Those are both great.
Well, let's talk about dice. Do you have a skill or a piece of equipment that will help you here, Berwyn?
Chaos is a skill.
I
I probably
love
should
it.
introduce my new skills and occupation.
Yeah. Tell us about you. So what's your new occupation, your new background, all that stuff?
So, yes, my occupation is an abomination. My
Mhm.
background is a hapless intercessor.
Mm.
My drive is to find someone to undo my horrific transformation. My skills are in transformation, chaos, and strength, and rituals. And I'll give you that for now. And of course, I've got my little red capelet.
Yeah.
But I am going to say that um, you know what? I don't think I have anything right now that'll help in this, and I'm fine with that.
Okay, then in that case, well, you get chaos. I
So
mean,
yeah, I have chaos. Yeah.
you get your one light die there. I'll put the Scoundrel's Quarter in danger, and I'll take another Devil's Bargain from Ben.
Every time you use these new gifts from the pit, you lose more of yourself.
I thought that was a
Ooh.
given. Yeah, I'll totally take it.
Nice, interesting. You've got 2 light dice and 1 dark die because of the ritual, or and the dark die because of the ritual. Yeah, let's see what you got.
4 light.
4 light. This is going to work. You are going to be able to disperse the crowd. Unfortunately, I think you are probably. I kind of like the idea of. Oh, I kind of like the idea of like that's all going to work, and you will disperse the crowd, but you are also going to collapse the archway into the citadel.
I'm gonna try with another dark die if it's okay.
Please do.
6 light.
6 light, nice. Give us a scene. How do you reach the citadel?
So with these fanatics, sort of, I think there's a moment where they're in awe, and they are in awe, but then they're kind of inspired to anger again. Their emotions run wild, and so they reproach. But as they do, he does that sort of guttural scream, and the mouths open up, and his whole body is just wailing, and it causes the orange sort of fungus on them to sort of throb, and we see the kind of like mixture of orange and red leaking from their ears as they sort of collapse to the ground, gripping themselves. And as they all sort of lay in this puddle of zealots in in the fetal position, trying to keep from hearing the screams. I imagine even like Torm probably hears it coming up as Berwyn just keeps charging ahead.
Well, let's pick up with Torum. Torum, you are now in the hallways. The halls of the citadel are winding and labyrinthine. Maurice de Jazora has a rotten and fetid grandeur with deep and luxurious carpets that squelch underfoot with decaying mushrooms. Strange fungus covers the ostentatious hand-painted wallpaper. How are you going to navigate this space? Oh, you're good at labyrinths. That's your whole thing, right? Yeah.
That's kind of my whole deal. Yeah.
I think because it's your whole deal, I'm not even going to make you roll. You can just navigate to where Merrick is, no trouble. Well, I mean, it'll take you some time, and you're definitely far ahead of the group who will not have that advantage. But I'm curious how you navigate the space.
Yeah, I think there's something about the twisted logic of the layout here that is maze-like, and Torum is good at following mazes, you know, the strategy of just kind of keeping one hand to the wall will get you to the center of the maze. And I think, you know, he's using every trick in his skill set, the vigilance to avoid going down dead ends, the speed to move quickly, and just his sense of innate navigation. Yeah. And despite the trail being lost amongst all of this fungal grossness everywhere, he's able to kind of intuit the way.
You arrive at the throne room. First, the little receiving hall right before the throne room entrance, where the corpses of Foulcoult's enemies hang from improvised chandelier gibbets. And all around are groups of people having frantic sex among and atop piles of corpses piled up against the throne room doors. And you see, just beyond the threshold, the orange roiling mass of what was Marek Foulcoult. It appears to be growing. You may be able to have a go at it now before it's too much out of your control.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can wait for your friends. What do you do?
There's no time to lose. I think Torin just charges forward, ignoring these people on either side, and screams Foulcault's name with that burning voice.
I love it. I love it. We'll pick up with this in a moment. I do want to see how the rest of the group is doing. Berwin, you are in the Citadel and don't have any necessary, or maybe you do, I don't know. How can you navigate the labyrinthine corridors of the Citadel?
My attempt is just to figure out is to like keep following as much of the orange splatters that I can.
It starts being useless almost immediately because
Okay.
these corridors are covered with the fungal growth. So
Okay. Then I am going to just try and I am inelegant in my movements, and so I'm just going to try and like break through walls if I can.
I love it. Cassian and Alina, you'll be shortly behind. You see the entity that used to be Berwin entering into the Citadel, trying to just smashing things. No sign of Torum. You do see all this sort of like goo all around in the gardens. Let's just have the moment with the two of you having made your way through the corridors and there at the gardens.
I think as Cassian and Alina went through, he's been updating Alina on everything that happened, and I'll say, and Berwin's dead.
Berwin, he can't possibly be dead.
I assure you,
Who would
he
want to
can't.
kill him?
An entire mass of people. It was horrifying, Alina.
Well, I'm sorry, but I just really can't believe it until I see it. Also, how could they possibly have killed Berwin with you around? You are an icon of Saint Helisan. What you did back there, that was amazing. And then the story about what was this other guard's name? Balder?
Bidar.
Bearer? Incredible. You single-handedly took him on. I am really impressed with you, Cassian. Really.
I think Cassian can't tell if he's more annoyed or less annoyed by this fawning attention. But he'll just clear his head. We need to focus. We need to find Torum and take what we can of what's left of Foucault,
Well,
and just keep your head on straight.
well, perhaps this giant person over here would know something. They're orange. They don't. They seem crazed, but not like the rest of them.
We should give it a wide berth.
Is it wearing Berwin's cape?
It fell off when he was torn to shreds. It came from the meat pit. Perhaps it just. Let's just go quickly.
I want to go up. I want to go up to the monster wearing the capelet.
I love it. Berwin, you will be drawn by the combat that's about to break out in the throne room. That will be a way you can track where Marek and Torum went. But of course, Alina is there now. So, Alina, what's going on?
Excuse me, sir. Hello,
Berwin
Hello?
is deaf to you
Up
right
there?
now.
Berwin's just ignoring Alina.
I'm just
Torum.
gonna. I think I'm just gonna follow him.
Torum, you cannot normally fight this thing with regular weapons, and so I think your burning voice is how you're combating the thing. It's an endurance 10 now. If you don't kill it in 2 combat rounds, it goes up to a 12. And so when you get into the throne room, you see sitting upon the throne a bloated collection of pulsating animate fungus and the tattered remains of torn skin in the rough shape of a man. It is presently about 10 to 12 feet tall and almost as wide as it sort of spills over the throne and the dais that the throne is set upon. It's getting bigger, though, as the fungal mass just sort of swells and grows. It's pulsating. It is manifesting as just a collection of fungoid masses and orifices screaming out incoherent words in whatever's left of Marek Foulcoult's voice. It rises up and heaves its mass at you. It stands nearly twice as tall as you. You can combat it with your burning voice ritual. I just need to know how you're vulnerable and roll weak point.
Vulnerable. I don't know. I guess there's only so much room to maneuver in here, and this thing is way bigger than me, and I don't know how it might move. It could. Who knows where it could spring an additional appendage out of it. It's not a human any longer. It's unpredictable.
Indeed. It's combat 1, or what's your weak point first?
1.
That's a good weak point if you have.
That's the best weak point.
That's as good as you can get. Obviously, you can't defeat it in one go, but let's see if you hit that weak point. So give me a combat 1. 2. Give me the first bit of this first. Or give us what does the combat look like in the beginning?
I think it's as Torum starts to approach, readying this burning voice, we see that doing this huge inhalation, and there's almost like a glow starting to come from inside of his throat, but at that point this kind of huge fungal pseudopod just lashes out, and he's forced to jump aside, and it kind of scars the steps on the way up to the dais, and Torum is off balance and kind of almost has to restart inhaling over again, readying ritual again.
You get one more combat round. If you do not get a 10 here, it will bump up to a 12. because it will have reached its maximum size, but you will have backup in the form of Berwin for that round.
I 3, including
Including a 2.
including my weak, yeah, including my weak point.
A 1 and a 2, or the
Yeah.
1, or the 1. The 1 is your weak point.
Yeah,
Yeah. Give me the combat round. Are you absorbing the hit, or are you going to mark armor? I think it's your last armor too.
It's my last armor, but I've also only got 2 ruin left, so I think I'm going to have to. Let's absorb it, because if I get hit twice, I'm.
Yeah, because you can always, the armor can,
Yeah.
you can absorb any amount of ruin. So
Right.
yeah. So you're at
Yeah.
ruin 5. Just describe how this is going badly.
Yeah, I think it's exactly as Torm feared, that this thing is just, it's like protean form. You can't figure out where it's going to attack you from, right, where something's going to lash out. And I think he dodges this one pseudopod, and another just kind of spears out and punches right into him, knocking breath out of his body and pushing him back. And things are looking pretty desperate.
Berwin, when you arrive, you see a thing it's bigger than you, even it's twice as big as you. It's about 15 feet tall and wide at this point. It takes up the large central portion of the throne room. You just saw Torum take a hit. How are you vulnerable?
Well, I was just born, so I've got the soft spots to my skull still.
What are you going to
And
use as a
other
weapon?
places. My body. I
I
have
think
mechanically I've got a barbed whip, but I imagine it's attached to me. So
Oh, I see. Interesting. So you
but
were,
what I actually wanted to do was I wanted to use one of my rituals. So I don't know how we would set that up first, or
I think it's mostly the thing is not really like vulnerable to like physical attacks is the basic problem, because it's just a big roiling mass of fungus that reforms and is constantly reforming and reshaping, which is why Torum has to use the ritual to just combat it.
got it.
So your ritual is probably, it's just going to be like, what ritual are you using to combat it, basically, is what it
So
boils
I
down
wanted
to.
to try and use my rubber ritual, which is
Mhm.
the body of a touched creature becomes elastic and can stretch beyond normal limits.
Oh,
My
interesting.
goal here was to try and make basically just deconstruct it at a sort of like subatomic level so that it just completely unravels.
Very interesting. The body of a touched creature becomes elastic and can stretch beyond normal limits. So to me it sounds like you'd be making it bigger.
I could also do it on Torum though.
Oh,
Which
intriguing.
if we want to make Torum super stretchy.
I'll let Rob chime in on that.
That was my suggestion in the chat just now. So yeah,
Nice.
do it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I think if you can succeed, I think this will it'll be like reducing the endurance of the creature essentially.
Okay.
So let's have the risk roll, which would be at least 1 dark and 1 light for transformation, and then I think the only Devil's Bargain I'm going to put in play is the Scoundrel's Quarter. Do you want that?
Yeah.
Go ahead and roll Ruin on Scoundrel's Quarter to see if that goes up.
2.
Okay, it does not. And now let's have a 2 light, 1 dark, and let's see how much you're going to lower this by, if at all.
6 dark.
Nice. You reduce its endurance to 10. I want to know what that's like. Like, what are you doing to Torum to make Torum more powerful against this thing?
So as he's rushing in, I think as Torum is sort of knocked aside by that pseudopod, he can hear coming from behind him like the thundering footsteps and the sort of wailing that Berwin is doing. And he just sort of, I think there's a moment of as Torm's getting up, there's like a sort of look that they have. They catch each other's eyes, and there's this moment of recognition. And to sort of like to represent my ruin, I think as that look is going on, like he finally stops his rampage for a moment, and that's when part of this fungal thing creates this sort of like spear that comes out of its body and juts through Berwyn's chest, and it breaks him back into that fit of rage, and he just takes Torm up with both hands. And it's not even like a conscious ritual. It's just sort of an effect of his flesh touching Berwyn's, and he just sort of swings him at the fungus, sort of like a baseball bat, like a very very long rubbery baseball bat.
So, how intriguing. So it's so weird and horrifying, but I'm super into it. Um, okay, so it's reduced to an endurance 10. This is gonna be a combat 4. You you could end it right now. Berwyn, go ahead and roll. A 4, a 5, and 2 1s. You do not end the combat, and Torum, I assume you are going to mark.
I'm gonna have to mark when I start with.
Indeed, you are. Cassian, Alina, you are on the scene. You just saw Torum get. Give me the scene, Torum. Like, we've heard what Berwyn's doing. What does this look like for you?
Yeah, I think it's just as Berwyn swings Torm, and Torm's not used to this plasticity, obviously, and he like stretches out in a way that he wasn't prepared for, and swings into Foulcoult and like full body. And if he'd been more in control of this kind of plastic shape, he could have deformed himself around him and like almost like moved through him safely, but he doesn't understand what's happening to him yet, so he takes like the full brunt of just slamming right into Foulcoult.
Or your armor does, I assume, right?
Yes, my
Yeah.
armor does.
You have no more armor, correct?
Correct.
Do you want to give your weak point to one of the other characters so that you don't die?
How much do you hate Alina?
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, everyone else is like also in pretty bad shape, so I think that would be. And I just think
Berwyn's actually not. Berwyn's actually
Yeah,
pretty.
I have
Yeah,
reasonable
maybe
shape.
I
4
could,
ruin, so
maybe I could give it to Berwyn.
yeah, just give it to me.
Yeah, I think I'll do that.
So Berwyn, you now have a 1 and a 2 as your weak point. Cassian and Alina, are you joining the fight?
Absolutely.
I would actually like to do a ritual to try and reduce the endurance, if that's possible.
I don't think it's possible at this point. I think it's already
That is fair.
it's been I think 10 is as low as it's going to get.
That's fair.
Cassian, tell me how you're vulnerable and roll weak point.
Weak point is 6, and I think this monstrous Berwyn, I think the recognition that this is Berwyn is going to just entirely put him on his back foot.
How are you going to combat it? Well, I think maybe that's another effect of the ritual that Berwyn did, which is maybe like making contact. Maybe Torum making contact with the fungal entity causes the fungal entity to become more rubbery and solid and therefore hittable with weapons, as opposed to being just something your weapons slide through. And so, what's your weak point and your vulnerability, Alina?
I am vulnerable because I was just following this big guy, and I did not expect to run into the remains, sort of Foulcoult, and also Torum getting his butt kicked. It was very surprising. My weak point is 1.
It's a combat 7. Why don't you go ahead and roll it, Cassian? Just looking for 10. That's it. 10 on the 2 highest dice.
That's 12.
Nice. There's also, so we got a 2 6s, a 3, a 1, a 4, a 5, and a 4. That's a hit for Berwyn, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Hit for Alina.
A hit for Alina.
2 hits for Cassian.
2 hits for Cassian, yeah. let's have the combat. Finish this thing off. Berwin, you can kick it off. What's going on?
He's throwing Torm about, but then finally just sort of tosses him aside, and he raises both of his hands and tries to like tear into this fungal mass, but it creates more of those sort of like pseudopod spears that just sort of pierce into his torso. Berwin seems unfazed, despite the fact that he's got all these things in him, until one especially large one just gets him in the gut. Um, but as he's sort of shuffling, there's a part, like a flap of his body that opens up to reveal a dangling 9-pointed medallion. And I think that there's a sort of burst of this pillar of light that just sort of suddenly appears, like as if there's this instinctual connection to Ramat Ilsnar that sort of surrounds him and blasts both of them back, so that Berwin just sort of falls to his back, like falls on his back, and allows the others to get in.
Keep it going, Alina.
Alina does not know what's going on, but she pulls out her carved ritual knife and is seeing these spears come out of these pods and starts just sort of attacking them before they can shoot out, before they can come out and get people. And as she is doing that, she spins around and swipes at one of them. Another one shoots out and goes right through the back of her throat and out the front. And there's a look of shock on her face for a moment. And the amulet of protection she's wearing around her neck turns orange and shatters. The pieces of the spear fall to the ground, and there's no wound, no evidence of this. And she spins back, trying to find another spear to chop.
Cassian, you can finish the thing off.
Is there anything left of Foucault's head at this
Yes,
point?
there is. Yeah, there's enough skin hanging in there. Yeah.
I think it's Cassian runs forward, and as these spears jut out, he steps on one to throw himself above it and just slices with Magda's sword and drops to the ground. And then he realizes one of those spears, he didn't dodge it, and it's sticking through his armor, but it's passed just by his ribs. And so his armor is not in good shape, but he's okay.
And did you kill Foulcoult as well, or did you?
Oh
destroy
yeah,
it?
he got the head.
Oh, got it. Yeah, good, very good. The rest of it just crumbles into a weirdly jiggly pile. You can all sort of collect yourselves. Let's see if the gold dice are going to be any kinder this time. Rob, why don't you roll a gold 12? No, gold 10. That was the final endurance.
I don't trust the 0 gold. I'm gonna see if this is broken.
Something's not right here.
Feels if it's broken. Okay, I rolled a gold 32 and I got 2.
The probabilities seem off.
I'd like
They're
to
a
speak
little-
with the manager here.
Yeah, the probability seems a little busted.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, no,
Oh,
so there was
hilarious.
one. Yeah, I think you just got some bad rolls.
Yep.
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 Well, I think we will pick up with this scene when we come back next week. This is it's the end of the incursion. You've accomplished the final set goal, but if you do want to kind of explore the castle a little bit more, I think you can certainly do that. Or if you want to go after your son, or if if there's any other little things you want to do, we can do that. And then we'll do Hearthfire as well next time. So for now, you have survived and destroyed Marek Foulcoult and satisfied that set goal. Let's go to Stars and Wishes. Whoever wants to say first, please do.
Big stuff just being back. And Araneth, I'm fascinated to see where Owen goes from here, if he indeed does go from here. Already enjoyed that. That felt like a non cheap out way to bring him back, and he's so different, and so like, can we even communicate with him? Is he like a party member as such? Or how are we going to treat him? I don't know. There's so many fascinating questions there. I enjoyed Alina's speechifying, and then her like refusal to take part in the combat in the tunnel was great. Cassian, I'm glad he got to strike the final blow, because I felt kind of bad like leaving him behind to deal with the other Kingsguard guy, but it felt like the right thing that Torin would do. But yeah, and Cassian turns up and like gets that final blow in. That was delightful. Yeah, I played this incursion before, but I don't think we got to this area somehow. Something, I can't remember if we all died or we took him
Was
out
that
earlier
with
or something.
me? I
Yeah,
became
that was
the stew princess. I remember
yes, that was
that.
the one. Yeah.
Yeah. We
I
didn't
can't
go this
remember. I
far.
can't remember.
No.
I don't think you went this far. Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely didn't get to this area.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all around good time. Yeah, wishes around like, yeah, I'm curious like how like, these gold rolls were so ridiculously bad, 26 dice and 0 gold. And I think I'm going to have to be making some really difficult decisions to meet my burdens, which will be bringing up interesting stuff in my relationship to Lady Peril. So I would love to see where that takes us.
Yeah.
Good to be back, y'all. Yeah, really nice, fun, fast-paced session. Lots of chaos, lots of slime, lots of messiness. Very splatterpunk session, which I'm into. Yeah, I think I mentioned it before, but I've never played this incursion before, and so this felt like a very satisfying end to it. Of course, Merrick is like a giant fungus monster, because of course he is. Um, I loved getting to have that devil's bargain with Kazian and having that resolution with Bider. I thought that there was something very kind of like not quite therapeutic. What's the word I'm looking for? Well, whatever.
Like cathartic?
Cathartic. Thank you. Yeah, cathartic. About him finally sort of like confronting that past, that aspect of his past, which I really liked. Great descriptions today, Jason. Very messy, very, very visceral, very evocative, which I thought was fun. Alina, this is sort of a mixed star and wish, but your handling of your son is always a mess to watch. And then the wish then is that there is more of that mess, that continues on as a through line. And also a wish to see more of this sort of conflict come into play between you and the Saints, and now the Sea Witch. I think there's a lot of potential there for changing, not necessarily who she is, but like affecting her. And then I like the counterbalance of Torum and Berwyn in the final thing. You know, Torum is a sort of elegant fighter despite his sort of brutish exterior. And you know, he knows how to navigate the labyrinth. He knows how to fight in this very precise way, whereas Berwyn is, of course, just barreling through. You know, the quickest way from point A to point B is a straight line. And so I just liked seeing that contrast. Curious to see what incursions we do next. Also very curious to see how Hearthfire goes, especially the first one for Berwyn, because things are going to be different, and I'm excited to see how different.
Yeah, my stars are echoing a lot. Jason, the descriptions were so disgusting this time, and I mean, I know you really, really go to town on this incursion because it is so delightfully nasty. But this session was extra gross. There's a bunch of times where I was just cringing just from what
No
you were saying.
noises though. I didn't do any sound effects today. So,
No,
yeah.
well,
That
I
was my
mean,
wish. Yeah.
to be fair, in our was our public access game last week. You made so many
That was the most
disgusting
disgusting
noises.
I've ever
It was
been.
the
Yeah, it was so
nastiest thing I've
gross. Yeah,
ever heard.
yeah. I listened back to a little bit of it. And I was like, oh god, that was really gross.
It was so nasty. So yeah, maybe thank you for the break, I guess. Yeah, this was wonderful. Berwyn coming back as this hulked out Berwyn is super, super cool because it really brings a lot of questions to the table. Like what's his communication style like? Does he have like what Rob was saying? Like, can we communicate with him? What's it going to be like? What's his drive like? How is he even going to try and
Yeah, what's
achieve
the
it?
drive? Yeah, that's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we know like he's trying to find a way to reverse it, but does he even know that? That's the kind of stuff that I'm really interested in. I'm really excited for more Berwyn, and I'm glad Berwyn isn't gone. And we have a freaky Berwyn instead. I think that's a lot of fun. Cassian single-handedly handling like all these wonderful combat things. Like they wouldn't have gone if Cassian wasn't in any of the combats. Things would have went real sour today. So of course Alina is now like, ooh, this person clearly has magic from the sisters. So get ready for that. And of course, thank you for going along with that. Also, I really loved Rob. It was such a small moment. I thought it was so cool how you justified that Torum is not used to that elasticity in his body, and your description of how that worked and why that would cause problems for him. It felt very character building. Like it really rounded out this character as like a full person, and I really love that moment. Wish I'm also excited to see what happens with my son. Excited to see what happens with Berwyn. I'm excited to see what we're gonna do. We are going to be struggling to meet our burdens. Things are going to be rough. So I'm excited to see what comes of that. Hey.
Yeah, I'm going to echo a lot of that. I am very pleased with the way everything shook out and all the new developments that will be just so rich to delve into. A couple of just little stars that stood out. Amanda, when expressing Alina's fear of dying and framing it as they don't even know I'm a good person was so perfect. And how could I not give a star to Berwyn's introduction with Berwyn Smash? Just so good. I really enjoy this is a kind of a bittersweet star, but Rob, I enjoy how worried you are about having to lose that icon of Lady Peril. That is really interesting for Torum as a character, and also an interesting choice for you as a player, and it's fun to see. As stated, the descriptions were just so gruesome and fun. I hate this place, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more of Alina's son. Really looking forward to the interactions between Alina and Cassian, and also how everyone responds to new Berwyn and what that's going to change about the relationship dynamics, and also whether we can actually like go to a pub with him. Can we take him out?
Yeah, I guess we'll find out. As star for, I really like how for a couple of the characters at least, there was this like sense of the past coming back to haunt you, right? And all of it came from Devil's Bargains and die rolls, which I thought was really great. So the Bidar thing and sort of the King's Guard, like honor and patriotism and treachery and all that business. Obviously, Alina's son, who that's my wish. I really want to try to find ways to keep that boy involved because the implication was that he was raised by the lady beneath the waves, and they conspired to communicate with you specifically, Alina, and to find you and get him to where he can find you. So like it's interesting to think that like he's been kind of like in control of what's been going on with you in Old Calexony, right? So I'm just really curious to see where that goes. Yeah, obviously I'm very interested to see where that all goes. Star for just the introduction of Berwyn. I really love the description of it, and that was really great fun. I think any session where you have two nasty gestalts colliding like kaiju. I think that's always fun. But no, it was a really great introduction, and yeah, I really liked that Torum that you or Rob that you like had Torum like kind of separate from the group out of urgency. I think there's like a version of that where you had like hung back, but I don't think that's what the character would have done. I think the character would have plunged forward, and so I think that that was the right move, and it felt good in the story, and it raised the stakes really high because you had the most to lose of everybody, right? You were the most vulnerable as far as ruin and stuff goes. So I thought that was great, and yeah, I'm just really excited to see where this is going to go. I also really enjoy another star for Ben for just how you describe all of Cassian's combat moments. I thought all the combat descriptions were really nice today. Um, yeah, I think if you all want it, I'll give you a little bit more time in Old Calexony. Torum might be ready to go home, but we'll kind of see how that goes. Or it could be it could be you just go back to the Scoundrel's Quarter and you cash in some of your insurance policies to meet your burdens. So you're gonna get 3 gold each for return, for killing Marek Foulcoult, but for the bounty. But that won't be enough for some of you. So I don't think I have anything else though. Are there any other stars and wishes? Okay, well
Actually, just a quick kind of bookkeeping question. So how many burdens would I have as Berwyn now?
Oh, so I thought what you were going to do was just because you didn't reach Ruin 6 as former Berwyn, I was going to just let you like basically just use that character sheet again with all the same like burdens and things.
Yeah.
You could change. I'm okay with you changing your rituals because the nature of the characters changed.
Got it.
Um,
But just take
but
on the 6 burdens.
but
that I
just you
have.
just take on all the stuff you had before, and including
Got
all
it.
the treasure as well, right, and all
Okay.
that stuff. So, but you're just this new form of Berwyn.
Got it.
For folks who are interested, I talked to Jesse about that, and Jesse thought we handled it right in terms of because the stakes were that you would get torn apart, but made the good point that but you hadn't hit Ruin 6 yet, and so in a real strict technical sense, like you don't have to retire the character, right? So it was appropriate to bring Berwyn back in this form. So you haven't really lost any like progress in the, in terms of like all the meta aspects of the game. You haven't lost any of that progress, but you're certainly not the Berwyn that we knew. So, okay. With all that said, I am going to wave goodbye. I'm happy that we're back, and we'll be back soon.